They do not rise by chance. They are not molded by luck. They are forged in silence when no one is watching. In the still moments of early dawn, when the world sleeps and dreams fade, they rise, not to chase comfort, but to build something greater within. These men and women, the ones we call winners, do not wait for motivation or miracles. They live by laws, habits carved into their days like stone. It begins with a thought, a quiet but burning decision that says, I will no longer settle. Then comes the discipline, the routine, the relentless action, done not once, but over and over until the ordinary becomes exceptional. They know that how you do one thing is how you do everything. They know that success is not an explosion. It is a spark nurtured daily through the little things most ignore. The world claps when the results arrive. But long before the applause, there were early mornings filled with purpose, sacrifices no one understood, and a refusal to quit when no reward was in sight. These are not just habits. These are the bricks of destiny. Each step, each task, each quiet commitment is a vote cast toward greatness. This is not just a list. It is a blueprint for the brave, a reminder that you are not stuck. You are being shaped. And if you dare to adopt these habits to make them yours, not for a week or a month, but for life, you too will feel the shift. From surviving to rising, from hoping to knowing, from existing to winning. Winners begin each day with a clear purpose and focused intention. Winners master their emotions instead of being controlled by them. Winners take consistent action even when motivation fades. Winners protect their time like treasure and eliminate distractions. Winners feed their minds daily with empowering thoughts and knowledge. Every day begins with a choice, a silent moment where most people reach for distraction or comfort, but the ones who become winners reach for purpose. They don't allow the day to begin by accident. They command it. They step into the morning not with a question, but with an answer. Their thoughts are not random. They're intentional. Every winner knows that without direction, the day will take control. So before the world's noise creeps in, before the distractions pull their attention away, they get still, they get centered, and they get focused. Winners rise with clarity. They do not just wake up, they wake up with a reason. They write it down. They repeat it to themselves. They visualize it in their mind until it becomes real in their heart. Whether it's building something, changing something, or becoming someone, they begin their day with a mission. That mission gives their steps power, their voice conviction, and their decisions alignment. They don't ask the day to be kind to them. They bring fire to the day. They understand that the quality of their life is rooted in the quality of their mornings. A rushed, reactive start builds nothing but chaos. But a morning carved with awareness, with precision, with inner alignment, this is what begins to separate those who wish from those who will. The winner's day does not start when the sun rises. It starts when they rise above their excuses, above their laziness, above their doubt. They are not distracted by the opinions of the world because their mind is anchored in intention. They are not slowed by the weight of yesterday because their focus is forward. Every action they take in the morning is designed, not defaulted. From the words they read to the food they consume to the thoughts they entertain, everything is part of the architecture of victory. This habit of beginning the day with purpose might seem small, but it is the seed of every great achievement. The world notices the outcome, but the winner knows the process. And that process begins when the rest of the world is still asleep, when the air is silent and the heart is loud. It is in this sacred space that they align themselves with their goals. They ask themselves better questions. What am I becoming? Why does it matter? What will I do today that brings me closer to the life I demand of myself? These questions are not motivational fluff to them. They are tools. Tools that sharpen focus, renew energy, and crush procrastination before it even begins. This daily alignment builds inner strength that does not waver when the day becomes hard, because the direction was set long before the challenges arrived. Winners know the power of deliberate beginnings. They refuse to drift. They live by the habit of intention, the habit of self-leadership, the habit of commanding the day instead of reacting to it. Most people are prisoners of their emotions. They react without thinking, driven by impulse, swayed by moods, and trapped by temporary feelings. But winners, the ones who rise above the noise, they operate from a different place. They've trained themselves not to be ruled by emotion, but to rule their emotions with discipline. When anger comes, they pause. When fear creeps in, they examine it. When doubt whispers, they challenge it with truth. They challenge it with traction. This mastery doesn't come by chance. It's earned through self-awareness, through repeated choices that say, I will not let how I feel dictate who I become. Winners don't wait to feel like doing something. They move regardless. They understand that feelings are fleeting, but purpose is permanent. They don't trust the highs and they don't get lost in the lows. When others are paralyzed by insecurity or distracted by pride, winners remain steady because they know the moment they hand the wheel over to emotion, they lose the power to shape outcomes. Emotion is not their guide. It's a signal. They have learned to listen without obeying. This kind of control isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming powerful. Winners still feel pain, fear, sadness, joy, but they do not let those emotions sit in the driver's seat. They observe them like a calm warrior, and they choose responses aligned with their vision, not their mood. This is how they make smart decisions when others are panicking. This is how they stay composed when others lash out. This is how they protect their energy from emotional hijacking. They have built emotional resilience like a muscle. It grows stronger every time they choose discipline over drama, every time they breathe instead of react, every time they reflect instead of explode. They use anger as fuel, not destruction. They turn fear into focus. They translate hurt into hunger. They transform every emotion into forward motion. Because to them, life is not about avoiding feelings, it's about using them wisely. This emotional mastery is what allows winners to thrive in chaos. They don't crumble under pressure because their internal state is not determined by external circumstances. Where others break down, they break through. They do not suppress what they feel, but they filter it, they refine it, and they convert it into something useful. Their emotions don't control their schedule, their words, or their relationships. Instead, they lead with intention, guided by values anchored in purpose. The world often celebrates intellect, talent, or skills. But the quiet strength behind it all is emotional control. That calm in the storm, that patience in frustration, that grace in conflict, that is the mark of the real winner. This habit isn't loud, but it is powerful. It builds credibility, trust, and momentum. It creates space for better thinking, deeper connection, and wiser moves. It is one of the sharpest tools in a winner's arsenal, not learned in books, but practiced in life's hardest moments. When emotions rise and the easy road is to react, they choose a higher standard. They process, they decide with purpose. Because the person who controls their emotions controls their world, there comes a point in every journey where the initial spark fades. The excitement that once lit up the path begins to dim. The vision remains, but the emotions that once fueled the pursuit lose their intensity. It's in these moments where most people quit. They slow down, they doubt themselves, they delay the work, they wait for the fire to return. They do not rely on motivation to carry them forward. They are powered by something deeper, discipline, a commitment so strong that it moves even when the feeling is gone. Winners understand that success is not built on intensity. It's built on consistency. The days when they don't feel like showing up matter just as much, if not more, than the days they do. When fatigue sets in and distractions call their name, they stick to the plan. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because they've made a vow to themselves. And they do not break promises they make in silence. Their dreams are not hobbies. Their goals are not wishes. To them, this is life. This is war. This is identity. There is a kind of quiet power in doing what must be done, especially when no one else sees it. Winners know the gym sessions that count the most are the ones they almost skipped. The writing that transforms them happens after the inspiration has vanished. The business they build grows in the hours where nothing seems to be working, but they keep showing up anyway. They keep taking action. Small, simple daily actions that compound over time. This is how they separate from the rest. Not in talent, not in luck, but in endurance. The world is full of people with goals, with plans, with vision boards and dreams. But very few have the grit to show up day after day without applause, without attention, without instant reward. Winners understand that momentum is built, not found. It's carved through repetition. It's developed in discipline. They do not wait for a perfect mood. They create progress in imperfect moments. And over time, that progress becomes power. They don't chase intensity, they chase consistency, and it shows. While others sprint and collapse, they keep walking. While others burn out, they find rhythm. They turn habits into rituals, routines into weapons. Even the simplest task, when done with unwavering commitment, becomes a tool for transformation. They don't underestimate the power of doing the right thing over and over again. It's not about the big grand gestures, it's about the daily grind, the steady work, the relentless motion forward. Every action they take, even the smallest one, reinforces their identity. I am the kind of person who shows up. I am the kind of person who does what it takes. I am the kind of person who moves regardless of how I feel. These affirmations aren't just words, they're lived out through discipline. They become a mirror of who they are becoming. There will always be days when the path feels heavy, when progress is invisible, when effort seems to vanish into the void. But winners trust the process. They trust the compound power of consistency. They trust that the steps taken today, no matter how ordinary, are building something extraordinary. Time is the one currency that can never be earned back, and winners treat it with the sacredness it deserves. They don't waste it on things that don't align with their goals. They don't let others steal it with meaningless conversations or shallow distractions. Every minute to them is an opportunity. Every hour, a step forward. Their calendars aren't filled with clutter, they're filled with purpose. Their schedules reflect their standards, and their days are built around progress, not comfort. While others spend hours scrolling through social media, binge watching shows, or procrastinating on the things that matter, winners are deliberate. They ask themselves, is this moving me closer to the life I want or pulling me further away? They understand that what you tolerate today becomes your standard tomorrow. And so they cut ruthlessly. They say no unapologetically. Not because the words are magical, but because repetition shapes belief, and belief fuels action. They don't wait for the world to validate them. They validate themselves with thoughts grounded in power, purpose, and vision. Winners are learners. Learners. They are students of success, students of struggle, students of life. They absorb knowledge from books, mentors, experiences, and failure. They are always listening, always watching, always applying. They take notes, they reflect, they question, they seek truth even when it's uncomfortable. Because they know ignorance is a choice and every day is a chance to get sharper, they do not feed their minds with junk. They avoid drama, fear-based media, low-energy conversations, not because they're afraid of reality, but because they're committed to creating their own. They know what they focus on expands, and they refuse to give their energy to things that don't serve their mission. They keep their mental diet clean, their emotional hygiene tight, and their inner world strong. They speak to themselves like champions. They don't tear themselves down with self-criticism. They coach themselves through pain. They remind themselves of their strength. They turn failure into lessons, not labels. They use their mind to rise, not retreat. They understand that self-talk is not background noise. It's programming. Noise, it's programming. And they are the programmers. Their mind is their home, and they guard its gates. They install routines that strengthen it. They meditate, they journal, they visualize, they read, they learn, and they repeat this cycle daily because they know the outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. You can't outperform your mindset. You can't win in life with a defeated mind. So they train it relentlessly. They choose thoughts that align with the future they're building. They don't entertain what-if fears. They focus on what is true. They don't obsess over obstacles. They prepare for them, and they move through them with logic, not panic. They ground themselves in principles that don't shake under pressure. They do not leave their mental state to external events. They take command. They create clarity. They fuel strength. And in doing so, they transform their entire reality from the inside out.